Let's face it, sometimes the last thing you want to do after work is to make dinner for the family. The stress of making something quick and healthy while accommodating all the likes and dislikes of everybody can be discouraging. And that's why I'm rounding up some of my quick, family-friendly, healthy recipes and meals that can be made and on the table in 30 minutes or less. My tried and true quick recipes use real ingredients and simple swaps to keep dinner time enjoyable for everyone. Hello, my name is Colin Roche, and I am the Dean of Biscayne College for the Liberal Arts and Social Sciences at St. Thomas University, and welcome to my kitchen. Today I've got another great recipe for you. It is going to be pork loin with a cranberry wine sauce. Again, 30 minutes or less. I'm going to serve it with mashed potatoes and some green beans. But again, as all recipes, it's up to you. There's no rules, there's just guidelines. So switch things up, as I always say. You like more of something, add more. You don't like something, admit it, don't use it. So I'm going to give you some options and some swaps along the way that can help you cut time and some of the procedures. Or if you have time, maybe it's on the weekend, you have a little bit more time, you can be a little bit more creative. Okay, so I have the recipe here, which I will post so you'll have access to it. So basically, pork tenderloin, very flavorful, versatile, mild enough to carry lots of different things. Okay, and one of my favorite methods for cooking pork tenderloin, because it is so tender, dry heat works with it, and to make it quick, is the sear and roast method. Basically what that is you're going to sear it really quick, get it all caramelized in a pan, and then the whole pan goes in the oven to finish cooking. Same way you can use it for other meats. You can use this for a steak, you can do this with chicken breasts, even pieces of fish. So it's a good technique to learn. It also lends itself to a lot of different pan sauces. As mentioned, I'm going to use a cranberry wine sauce because this easily could be a piccata type sauce. It could be a reduction red wine sauce. It could be anything we want to make for a pan sauce. And I'm going to show you that technique. We'll just change up the flavoring ingredients and what we're going to finish it with. So we got to start out with pork tenderloins. Okay, this is two. It usually comes two in a package. If this was beef, this would be a beef tenderloin, or filet mignon, or chateaubriand. So it's the same thing. It's very tender, runs along the spine of the animal, so it doesn't take a lot of cooking. It doesn't take moist heat to break it down. Very versatile as well. I have a lot of recipes that I use for pork tenderloin. But the main thing I want to do right away is preheat our oven. I'm going to preheat it to 425, so we want this to cook really, really quick. And it's small enough so it can handle that. So make sure your oven's on. I just turned mine on before I started the video, so I'm at 425. Now when you get pork tenderloin, it's usually already pretty much trimmed for you, but it comes in a cryovac bag. So when you open it up, there may be some juices in there and stuff, so I always like to give them a rinse. Okay, take a rinse to them just to get any of that juice that's off of it. And then we want to dry it because the seasoning won't stick and we won't get a good sear if there's moisture, because then it boils and steams and it reduces the temperature. So I've already taken these out of the package and washed them. Now I'm just going to take a little paper towel here and just kind of blot them dry. You know, get any of that excess moisture off of them. All right, now the last thing is, there's often sometimes what they call silver skin. Not a big deal, I think you can see it here. And this is like ligaments or tendon part of it, very tough. So you want to get rid of that, because if not, it'll just be in your meat later on. You can use a small knife for this and just get underneath it and then just pull it up like this. So you just want to take all this, see the silver skin, get a real close up on it there, because it's called that because it looks silver. Just get your knife under it best you can. Try not to get too much meat. And then just trim it up a little bit. It'll save you in the long run, because if not, when you or your family or guests are eating this, you know, it's going to be really tough chewing. So get it off now before we sear it. And it'll also allow the seasoning to get into the meat and make like a crust on it too. It's not much. It's usually just a little bit. I mean, most of it's been trimmed up pretty well. We would have this on beef as well, so it's not unique just to pork. I'm gonna trim a little of the extra of the fat off here that I see while I'm doing it. There, it's perfect. Okay, so so it talks about here that the pork, it tells you it's on a vacuum packed seal. We want to get the silvery skin off, pat it dry, get rid of excess moisture, and then we're going to add salt and pepper minimum. But you can add your own flavorings. I recommend some different steak blends. This one I got with Omaha Steaks. This one here, someone gave me sweet and smoky rub. You can use any of these Montreal steak seasoning, whatever you like. You might have your own favorite or not use any. Again, it's up to you, but at minimum, you want to add salt. And you want to add lots and lots of pepper, okay, because that's really what's going to make a nice crust on here for us. So, I've got my salt, I've got lots of pepper here. We don't need any oil on it because we're going to put oil in the pan. Roll them over. Great. Now I'm going to put some of the steak seasoning on here. Can't remember how it tasted, but it was pretty good. So any of those seasoned things, just be aware of what the ingredients are in there as well. But this is what's going to make our crust. So I'm going to roll it in the board here, pick up all that excess that kind of fell off there, and make like a nice seasoning crust on it. Yeah, I'll put a little of this one on too. Okay. Now, salt and pepper if you have it. If you just have it, it's not freshly ground, that's okay too, whatever you have. I actually have a couple of these, electric ones. Electric ones are fun too, if you have those. Does all the work for you. These are from Zwillings. It has a salt one as well. So you put the peppercorns in and it'll do it, or you can get the old-fashioned one and grind it yourself, or you can get it already pre-ground, whatever works. Okay, so I'm at my pan here. Is that gonna fit? Let's see. Yeah, it'll fit. Okay, so I have a nice little pan. I'm gonna turn that up to high. And this is step 4 here, 5, utilizing a heavy bottom pan, add 2 tablespoons of olive oil and a tablespoon of butter. Now, that's called a fortified butter. If you just put butter in, especially whole butter, it kind of burn on you. So oil is what helps with that. I've got some olive oil here. That increases the smoke point or the heating point of the oil before it breaks down. But the butter adds a nice flavor in there. So as I heat it up, I'm going to put in the olive oil first. I put in the recipe, 3 tablespoons of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm only going to put 1 tablespoon of butter in now and 2 tablespoons of oil because we're going to save some of it for our next step when we make our sauce. So I have this one, we'll cut a little piece off of here and add that into my pan, let that get hot, and now we're ready to go. And then once this gets in the oven, because that's going to take the longest, put it in there. Now we're going to have time to make our cranberry sauce, and that's going to come together pretty quick. We're also going to throw in some sides, whatever you want to serve this with. Could be rice, could be potatoes, whatever you want for a starch, even some pasta, and then your vegetable. I'm going to use green beans because they cook pretty quick, and I think it's going to add some nice color here. And I'm going to add mashed potatoes, which is going to provide the mound that I'm going to put the pork tenderloin around when we slice it. Now, depending on the size here, because they do come in different sizes, I'm going to put 6 to 8 portions or servings with this recipe, but it's going to depend when you go to slice this when it's done, how many slices you get out of it, and how thick you make those slices. I'm thinking we're going to serve maybe 1/2-inch slices, 3 to 4 per serving, and I'll know that when we build our plate at the end. So I'm going to wait and see on that. Okay, so you can see here, give you a close up. The pan, the oil's in there now, the butter has already melted, it's starting to sizzle a little bit. That's the moisture that's in the butter, the milk solids that's coming out of it and evaporating, so that's good. We want to hear it, because when we hit this into the pan, we don't want to just kind of sit there and float around like it's in the pool on a raft. No, we'll have to hit it, and automatically the protein is going to start shrinking up and it's going to caramelize on the outside of it. So we want this very, very, very hot, okay? We're going to put that in here. And then I'm going to use a pair of tongs to turn it, because you want to get all sides. You don't want to just put it on one side and I'm going to turn it as it caramelizes and keep turning it and rotate it so all sides get caramelized. That's where a lot of the flavor is going to come, right? On the crust of this. Plus it's also going to make this cooking a lot faster because we're trying to do it in 30 minutes or less, right? So the more we cook it on the stove, the better it is. All right, so I'm going in with the first one here. Now I'm going to go in with the second one. So you can see it steaming and cooking. So leave that right off to the side. Okay. So again, I always say, don't turn it right away because it's sticking to the pan. But as it caramelizes, it'll release from the pan and you'll be able to turn it very easily. So don't turn it too quick. Protein's going to stick. And then as it caramelizes, it'll be easy to turn. And you can tell, just take one of them and start to turn a little bit. If it's still sticking, give it a little bit more time. And this is all going to depend on how hot your pan is and the oil in it. So you can see here, this one's turning, so I can turn it. I'm going to turn it a quarter of the way, so I get the other side. See there? Put it back on the heat. Then I want it super hot. Now in the oven, it's going to take 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So this first part of it is key, if you want to try to keep it in that 30-minute time zone, is to get it trimmed, seasoned, seared, and in that oven. Oh, there's my oven. It just came up to temperature. There you heard that bell. That has been preheated, so I know the oven's ready. As soon as I finish the sear, it's going to go right in there. Okay, when we get that meat in there, we're going to try to cook it to 145 is like medium, right, for the steak. So pork, you can cook it when it's pink, because pork doesn't have a lot of fat, and it gets really, really tough. If you cook it to like 170, it's well done, it's going to be a little bit more chewy, even though it is tenderloin. So I usually shoot for that 145, and it will carry over cook a little bit longer, but that's going to mean it's pink inside. Some people don't like pork when they see pink. They get a little nervous. So feel free to cook it to 150. You can even go to 160 if you want. Just know it's going to be a little bit more drier, less moist. You know, it won't have that color in it. But the sauce will help that. So you decide. Now it's helpful if you have a instant read thermometer. You can pick these up. I think even Publix and stuff has them, but you know, you can order one. They're pretty easy, and that's a good, accurate way so you can put it into the loin and know if you need to keep it cooking, rather than take it out and find out it's too raw for you or it's too overcooked. So you can use these instant read thermometers. All right, so then we're going to make the sauce in a minute here too. Roll this pork tenderloin. So you're going to need a separate pan for that, and we're going to put some onions in there. So I put on the recipe here half an onion. You see it there, half an onion minced. I have an old red onion, Bermuda onion, purple onion left over, so I'm going to use that. We're going to mince that up. We got some fresh rosemary we're going to pick. Right? We're going to use red or white wine, or skip wine if you want. It's about a half a cup. I'm going to put red wine, but white wine would be great too. So a half a cup of this, and then 3/4 cup of chicken stock. Okay, but if you don't want wine, don't want to use any alcohol, just use a full cup of the chicken stock. This wine does add a little bit more depth to the dish. And then I have some cranberry sauce, which is left over from a previous chicken dinner. Just canned cranberry sauce. I like the whole berry one rather than the jelly. But so I'm going to use a cup of this, so I'll throw that in. And at the end, we've got a little parsley to finish the dish with and give it some color. So I'll show you this color. You know, it's getting that nice crust on there. And it's still got a long way to go. It's raw, you can see the meat there. But again, we're getting that sear. That's the whole thing we're looking for here before it goes into that hot oven. We'll let that go a little longer. So I'm going to start on my onion. Okay? Chopped onion. You could use shallots if you wanted to. So I'm just going to make it small dice, because it is going to be part of the sauce, so I don't want to have big chunks of onions. People are going to see, even though cooking it's going to break it down a little bit. You know, kind of mince it here a little bit. So just do the best you can to make it small. Spanish onions, fine. The white onions, shallots, whatever you have on hand. Don't have it, skip it. Maybe you don't like onions. I know my son doesn't. Okay, I got my onion ready to go. I think this is ready. Yeah. So you can see that. I'm going to put that right in my oven now. Now, remember, when you put that pan in the oven, even though the pan has a handle on it, don't grab it. Because I've done that before. That handle is going to be, 425 degrees, super hot. So you don't want to grab that. Make sure you use a towel or a pot holder or something like that. Okay, we're going on to our sauce now. Using heavy, about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Okay, we're going to add our other tablespoon of butter in there. And then we're going to add our onions to that. Put those onions in. Okay, so you see the onions are cooking up really quick. I'm going to take that off the heat here for a second. So now I'm going to pour in my ½ cup of wine. Yeah, no measuring. I can guess. You can guess too. It takes time to take a measuring cup out and a spoon. It's just another item that you're going to have to wash. So, get those onions in there. Let them saute a minute or two just to start breaking them down, releasing some of the moisture, and then just pour the wine in. Now, we don't want to go right in with the stock yet because wine obviously has alcohol in it. So we want to cook that alcohol off. Alcohol has a lower smoke point, right, boiling point. So all of the steam that's coming off it right now is mostly just alcohol. And alcohol, when it gets heated, has a kind of a bad flavor, right? It's like a cheap sake. So we want to cook that alcohol off, leaving behind the flavor of the grapes, right? Whether that's the white wine or a red wine that you're using, or no wine. So we want to cook it down by half. So I put in ½ cup. I'm going to reduce that to ¼ cup. It's going to concentrate the flavor of that wine. And then I'm going to add the ¾ cup of chicken stock. Okay? If you don't want the wine, just add a whole cup of chicken stock. And this was in your step 9 or 8 here. If you want to use the wine, just leave it out. Proceed to the next step. Cook for a minute or two to reduce the wine and cook off the alcohol. Pour in the ¾ cup of chicken stock, then rosemary, and then you're going to stir in the cranberry sauce. Okay? So we've got the wine. It's going to get thick and syrupy because a lot of the moisture as well as the alcohol is evaporating, so it's going to leave just that syrupy, which is going to be a nice base for our sauce with the cranberry and the chicken stock. Oh yeah, this looks good. So I don't know if you can see that up close. And now ¾ cup. Guess one again. If I go a little more, a little less, you can always add more at the end. And that's something, as you cook the sauce, more and more is going to evaporate. And as it evaporates, it's going to get too thick. And then when you're going to try to put it over the pork, spoon it over, it's going to be like clumpy, like a paste. If that's the case, just add some more stock or add some water to it just to thin it out, so then you can serve it like a sauce. Okay, the chicken stock is in there, coming up to temp. Now I'm going to add my cranberry. As I mentioned on the front page here, it's about a cup of cranberry sauce. So I have my spoon. Okay, any cranberry sauce will work. And this has like pectin in it, which is the thickener for like jelly. So that's going to help our body of our sauce as well. So there'll be some thickness in it. So rosemary. Okay, get some rosemary here. This is unique flavor. It's like evergreen, so we just peel it down. Take your rosemary stem and just pull backwards on it. And that releases all the leaves or needles off of this. And we want about a tablespoon. Now, if you don't have fresh, use dried. If you don't have dried, don't use it. You can put in other herbs, another substitution. Sage might be nice, maybe a little bit of thyme. You could add basil and stuff. You could skip it. So just think about what flavor profile you're going for and use those if you can or not. So now I got the rosemary here. I think I put a tablespoon. Yeah, it's one sprig, but it'll come out to be about a tablespoon. So if you're using the dried, dried's a little stronger, a little more powerful than fresh because it has the moisture removed, so it's been concentrated. Therefore, I wouldn't use, a full tablespoon. I would use maybe a half a teaspoon for dry because it's going to be more pungent. You can always add more, but try it with the half a teaspoon if you're going to use it, and then taste the sauce at the end, and if you like it, that's good. Now I like to chop it up, and you probably want to do this with the dried as well, because nobody wants to have some sauce and have a big huge rosemary pine needle sprig in their mouth. So mince it so it kind of hides in the sauce, it dissipates in it. So I've got that pretty small. Throw that in. It's going to add a little earthiness to it. Okay, you can see we're cooking up here. Now I'm going to let that reduce. Still got some cranberry sauce that's still in lumps here, so let that break down and cook and thicken up. Now when the pork comes out of the oven, there's going to be pan drippings in there as it cooks and shrinks, and obviously some juices are going to come out. Some's going to evaporate, but there's going to be some in there. We're going to pour that in too, give some richness and flavor to our sauce. And let that cook down. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. I got some green beans here. Okay, so I don't need too much. I'm only going to probably serve one portion for now, but as much as you want. Figure out a handful for each person, and then you can know. I'm going to pick the ends off it real quick. So we snap the beans. You can use frozen ones that are already done for you, or you can get sometimes those, thin green beans. They call them haricot verts. They are all trimmed up for you as well, and they're going to cook a lot faster. So you can use those, or you can use frozen peas, whatever you want. Fresh vegetables are in season, so whatever's calling out to you. So here I have a few green beans. I'm going to hold them. They don't take very long to cook. Now I want to turn the pork periodically, right? So it cooks on all sides. So let's pull that out. Remember I said that handle is going to be hot, so make sure you grab it with something. And I'm going to rotate them over. And on the other side. Look at that. Isn't that looking good already? So you can see all the juices in there as well. Okay, back in the oven. Here's another slot for you. I like making mashed potatoes just like anybody else, but sometimes you're looking for convenience, trying to keep it within 30 minutes, get some microwave mashed potatoes. Now I'm like, wow, these aren't going to be good. They are. They're pretty good. In restaurants oftentimes we'll have mashed potatoes left over. We can heat those up again. We can make mashed potato cakes out of them, other things, so it's perfectly fine. Now there's a lot of varieties out there. I've tried a few, but I really like the Bob Evans ones. They have a pretty good line of them. And you can get garlic mash, you can get rustic style, there's a lot of different ones. I get the originals, my kids like it, so I use that. And this takes 3 minutes. Then you take it out, give it a stir, another 3 minutes, and it's done. 6 minutes. So I'm going to do mashed potatoes. As I said, after it's done, just slide that off, unseal it, microwave it. It holds. You put it in the refrigerator, I can take it out again, microwave it again and again, or I can add it into a soup to thicken it, or I can make cakes out of it. A lot of things you can do with it, but huge time saver here. So if you're interested, mashed potatoes, we got green beans, we got our sauce, we got our pork. We have a whole dish here. Okay, so I've cleaned up my area. I have a plate ready for plate up. Set to go. Sauce is reducing nicely here. It's cooking down, it's getting a little thicker, which is nice. It needs a little bit more thickness to go here because it's still kind of loose, but as we cook it down, it'll continue to evaporate and thicken. Bean water is going well, so let's check our pork. Okay, looks great. See this? Nice caramelized on the top there. It's got some juice in it. So let me take my thermometer here and push it inside into the center, kind of a long ways is the way we do it. To show you that, if you happen to have one of these thermometers, you don't want to go straight down because you're not at the center. This is perfect. It's like 135. This one's 142. So they're going to continue to cook as they rest. So I'm going to take them out so we can use some of this juice. We always want to let them rest. Okay, so I'm going to put them on this plate for now, because what happens is it's a protein. So the heat's forcing all the juices inside, just like with a steak. And if you don't let it rest, the protein, as soon as you cut it, all the juice is going to come out and you're going to have something really well done and probably tough. But as the heat dissipates, it relaxes, it becomes back to being more juicy because the juices now can redistribute back throughout the piece of meat. So I have a lot of sauce in here. Just taste it. So you can see this sauce. Again, make sure you're using a towel. Don't throw that away. That's the pan drippings. Those are great. And add that in. Okay. Give it a stir. I'm going to put a little bit back in this pan to deglaze it. There we go. Onions and the cranberry. All right, now I want to do my mashed potatoes. So as I mentioned, it's 3 minutes. So we take this, lift the corner to vent. Watch how quick this is. Lift the corner to vent. In the microwave. 3 minutes. And then, as it says here, microwave on high 3 minutes. Carefully remove it, give it a stir, put it back in for 2 minutes. It's done. And Bob Evans, pretty good. So that's resting. I don't want to carve that. Got a good sauce going on here. I'm going to now drop my beans. Water's already boiling. Move it around. It's got salt in the water. That'll take 4 or 5 minutes. I like my beans crunchy. I don't like them overcooked. And if you had frozen vegetables, probably even quicker. Microwave them, whatever you'd like. And I've also have my parsley that I've already chopped up. So I'm going to use that as like a garnish at the end. We're ready to go. So, I think our sauce is ready to go. I'm going to give it a test, see if it needs anything. Ooh, that's good. That's nice and spoonable. See how thick it is? It's got the chunks of cranberries and it's going to add a nice color to this dish too. Go well with the mashed potatoes. How are we doing on time? Good. Maybe some rolls, a salad with this. You can have a full restaurant quality meal, 30 minutes. And you control what's in it. You know, buying some of the processed foods and stuff you don't always know and you got to read the labels. Like this mashed potato here. You know, what does it have in it? It's got potatoes, milk, butter, potassium sorbate, and then pepper. So it's really not that bad. And some of them have so much junk in them that, you know, better to cook from home and you know what's in it, you know what's in your sauces. You know. But again, time is of the essence. And it'll save you money than having to go out to restaurants. Got our meat, I'm going to turn them over just so they will cool down on the other side. You see those? Getting some more juice still coming out of them. I'll pour into that sauce. So again, it's rest. Now you can set the table, you can get whatever you're going to drink, maybe some wine to go with the sauce, water, soda, milk, whatever you'd like. So, I need to cut this meat now. I think it's rested enough. Let's put it up here on the board. So, I mentioned it's 6 to 8 people, so it depends how big a piece you're going to give them. I am going to use maybe 1/2-inch pieces. Or so, I think that's good. You don't want too thin, but you don't want too thick either. Now this would be good on a platter as well. You know, you could get a big platter plate and put this all around it, the potatoes in the middle and the veg, and just serve it family style as well. See, it's not too pink. See it there? So this one was a little over. That one I think is a little under because it's a little bigger, so I like it a little more pink than that, but this is perfect, and it's still not too tough. So the potatoes are done. Put those up here. Now for plating, see how hot these are? I'm going to put a dab right in the middle, flatten it out a little bit. And then I'm going to take 3. I'm going to shingle them on the side. So 3. And then I'm going to put my green beans in. Put them on this side. Now you could drain the water and put butter in there if you'd like for the extra calories, fortify it. But I'm not going to because I know the sauce is rich, but I do want to season them a little bit. But you can always season them at the table. And a little bit of salt. There we go. And now, I'm going to put the cranberry sauce. I'm going to put it right across the front here. And then we're going to hit it with some greenery. Okay, so you can see it here. Now, proof is in the pudding. So let's cut a little bit off here. I want to get it with the cranberry. This is good. 30 minutes or less. Roast pork tenderloin, cranberry wine sauce, your sides, your choice of sides. I did potato and green beans. Meals on the table, home cooked. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye-bye now.